Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jamie and Mike here again for the final episode of the year. So this is Mirrorless Minutes Episode 59. And what Mike is doing is he's driving up from Ohio and has his phone sitting in his lap. So periodically, Mike might do this just to show you that he's no longer driving.
That's, one hand, two hands.
Actually, to be honest with you guys, his son is driving. We're definitely more responsible.
Way there
you go.
Yeah, that's proof.
So
we're much more responsible.
Yeah. Tonight's episode is an on the road episode, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's cool that with technology, Mike can just drop in like this. You know, I mean, he's again out of state, cruising down the highway at a respectable, law-abiding speed with both hands on the wheel, probably, and he can still do the show. He's not probably going to stay in for a real long time. I think he's just dropping in for a bit to say hi and bye for the year. But.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely wanted to say I needed to be on the last show of the year for sure, no matter what it took, and we ate about a 6-minute Taco Bell meal, and then I got on because we've been driving pretty much all day, having to pick up some stuff from Columbus and bring it back home. So, but it's great to be back, great to be on, and I think I know Jamie's going to talk a lot about it. He should be a miraculous year for Mirrorless Minutes. I mean, as we move into our third year here, for a better 2016, but I think overall 2017 is where we're going to be loaded and ready for bear.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2017 is when things really just start to take off.
Yeah.
Big decisions will probably have to be made in 2017.
Yeah. And you know what? It's the last quarter of this year. I mean, you just see our shows and how much more it's, how many more views we've gotten. Just usually it would take a whole month to get 200 views. And, we usually get that in a couple days now.
Right. Yeah.
So that's, just appreciate everybody that's on right now. I mean, that tells you right there.
Yeah, without a doubt. Exactly. I mean, we're a pretty lucky couple of guys here to be able to put together such a loosely formatted show and have so many people that tune in and watch it. It's pretty cool.
It's getting close to the viewership of Wayne's World.
Yeah. It's the Wayne's World factor without a doubt. I'm telling you, damn it, we're getting a couch in 2017 and we're doing it in my mom's basement or something. So.
So what's going on with you, Jamie?
Oh man, so I have a lot of free time lately. Got some things going on that make it so I have a lot of free time. So I've just been spending some time. I think I'm refocusing the direction my life is going as far as what I do for a living. Everybody knows that you and I both have day jobs. And I've been working my whole life in the automotive industry in quality control, and I think it's time that I shift gears and get out of that lifestyle and start pursuing something. I'm really looking at focusing in social media. That's something that I do a lot of anyways on a personal level and as a representative for Olympus, brand ambassador for them, and also for other companies, that I do reviews and stuff for. I figure I do it enough for myself. I've kind of got, my finger on the pulse of how this works. So I think I might be shifting gears here in 2017.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you are the king when it comes to social media, I can tell you. And I've seen some of the reviews lately. You've been putting out a few on some pretty cool stuff. The 30 millimeter macro.
Yeah.
That nobody seems to give love for.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I've got two in the pipeline right now. I'm going to wrap up editing on those tomorrow. So by week,
really?
There will be 2 more videos, possibly 4 more videos. I've got 2 that I'm going to start tomorrow that should be short enough that I can get production done on those in an afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to start cranking those babies out.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
That's the way you got to make it happen. So, but what else? What do you see for else for 2017? I know we want to talk about. I don't have the dates in front of me. I feel crappy. I know it's in September, our Chicago.
Yeah, so Mike and I talked about it in the last episode, so we do out of Chicago in the summer, and we put the poll out there to ask viewers, where they'd like to see
Right.
Mike and I, when we do our workshops together, where we could do one, we put it out there. We had a lot of input on a lot of different locations, and the winner was Chicago again, which is great for us. I mean, it's close to home. It's only about a 3 to 5 hour drive, depending on which one of us we're getting the distance from. But we're really familiar with the area after spending the last several years there out of Chicago. So we're looking forward to doing a workshop there. It's going to be middle of September. And it should be great. And it's definitely going to be fun. We've already started the scouting for some locations, and Mike will definitely have some heads up on newer locations, because Mike's going to be doing some cool stuff in Chicago this year as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can maybe I'll mention that and then drop out, but I'll get more into it next time we get by. But one of the things I've really been focusing on in 2016 is I wanted to get my own project. I wanted to get a photo project together for myself, something that I'll probably use some images, I'm sure, for Olympus. Really going to be for myself, and I'm going to be out in Chicago. I'll have a website for it, and I'm sure it'll be talked about on the show during the year. But it's going to be called Chicago Squared, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Chicago on my own. I always feel that a big part of photography is very solitary, and I'm going to go in and really study square photography. I'm going to throw the camera on square format, and it's going to be a lot of street shooting, but I'm going to involve everything, architecture as well, and in the city of Chicago, and try to hit a lot of the different neighborhoods all over Chicago. Obviously, not just the ones that people might be familiar with. So I think that it's going to be fun. We have a Chicago Squared website. I'm even building it on Squarespace to even make it more square. And we've had our good friend, Jamie's real good friend, Seth. He's made me some logos, and I'll share that information when I get around to it here. But I said I got to go in all the seasons, so I'm like a glutton for punishment. I'm heading to Chicago on January 29th.
Ooh, boy.
I can't wait to see what kind of weather is greeting me on January 29th in Chicago. So I think that it'll be good to have your own project, a photo project, something I can focus on, and at the same time, I'm hoping at the end all this, there's a book that I can put together for it. I'm going to try to do a lot of actually from the hotel room after shooting and stuff. When I come in, I'm thinking about, I'll take a page from Jamie's book and do some video blogging and just talking about my day, and maybe share some photos from the day within that. That's my hope. We'll see. We'll see. I'll get some direction from you first, probably, on what to do there. But I think, we had Megan on the show this year, and her 52, Magic Mondays. What a great project she's had going all year. And I said, you know what, I really needed to get something. I've been thinking about it. And I know you're working on stuff too, right now. So, but that's what my big, plan is going to be for 2017, at least personally, a personal project. From there, it's really, we plan to be at out of Chicago again for sure. There's nothing more than just that, hey, the guys from Mirrorless Minutes are here. Yeah. We certainly want to be there for Olympus. I know that. Yep. And we will be likely anyways, but it's important that I think we get out. We have so many people from that area. Yeah. That seem to come into that area. And it's an exciting event, one of the best that I've seen and that we do for sure. Yeah. So, well, I think with that, I'll wish everybody a happy new year, and I look forward to talking to you soon. I want to make sure my son's okay driving. Yeah. I've had my big light on. All I've got is one light here. So. Yeah. And you haven't been pulled over, so that's good. No pullover yet. So. And you haven't had to pull over. Buddy. All right. Yeah. All right, you take it easy. See you, everybody, and I'll tune in to the rest of the show. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Talk to you soon. See you guys. All right, drive safe. I'm all by myself now. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, I knew this was coming. I knew that Mike was, honestly, I didn't even know if he was going to be able to make it. We weren't sure, what his connection would be like down there in Ohio where he's at. But luckily, he was able to come on, so I was pretty stoked to have that happen because, well, I'll tell you what,
the first 10 minutes of the show, I got to hang out with Mike, so that's cool. And I'll kind of pick up from where Mike left off talking. I'll talk a little bit about what's in store for 2017 for Mike and I and me individually, and then I'll kind of turn the clock back and talk a little bit about 2016. So for 2017, it's funny that Mike mentions Megan Crandallmeyer, her 52 Magic Mondays project. I think it's kind of what inspired Mike and I to really, jump into our own personal projects. I know over the past few years, I've looked at several different projects and started one or two, without really giving them much attention, publicly, luckily, because they never panned out, and I just didn't have a connection with them. But this next project that I'm starting for 2017, I'm extremely excited about doing this. I'm really excited. I've kind of had this format for an idea in my head for almost a year now, and I'm going to do the same project two different ways. I'm not even going to elaborate on it. I'm just throwing out like a mega teaser, but it's definitely going to be a really cool project, and I think it's going to be different than anything else I've seen. So hopefully it's something that appeals to more than just me, but it appeals to me. So that's where I'm getting my start with it, because it is a personal project. So thank you, Megan, for the inspiration and for goading us into, actually getting off our butts and getting our projects going. So that's cool. Other things for 2017 though. So Mike and I Mike actually got the ball rolling on it and pretty much led the charge in 2016 with the Mirrorless Adventures meetup group, and granted, we're both based in Michigan. Mike travels enough across the country to where he has had these little meetups or little get-togethers, leveraging the meetup group to just put together little things. He had several of them, right here in Michigan though. And I honestly only participated in one Mirrorless Adventure meetup here in Michigan, and then the workshop that Mike and I did in Philadelphia in the summer. But in 2017, that it's a personal goal of mine to set up some low cost, fun, easy to get to workshops here in Michigan. They'll probably just be like 2-day workshops, where we'll meet like on a Friday evening, and I'm planning on probably doing a lot of those on the west side of our state, just because I have a home base there and the camper that we have on a seasonal site on the west side of the state. So for those interested in photographing the Lake Michigan lakeshore, some of the lighthouses and landscapes along the west side of the state, stay tuned to the Mirrorless Adventures meetup page, because I'm going to start getting the ball rolling in 2017. I'm doing just some really low cost, fun, easy to get to workshops on the west side of the state. So that's, again, something in 2017 that I plan on doing. Again, as Mike mentioned, out of Chicago, Mike and I plan on being there again. We're not sure, in what capacity. In the past, it was always like, we were there as Olympus guys. This year we might tackle it from a completely different angle and just go as like the Mirrorless Minutes guys. Either way, it'll just be a total blast. And Mike and I have a meeting with Chris Smith, the founder of the Out of Chicago Conference, to discuss, getting the ball rolling on that, what our action plan is going to be. And I've got a really cool class that I want to teach, or presentation or talk that I want to give. And the one that I'm going to give in Chicago is directly tied to this project that I'm about ready to start here in January. So it'll be cool. And it's not something that I've seen done out of Chicago yet, so I'm really pumped to be able to share this as well. So that's stuff, for like 2017. I'm sure Mike has plans to do more Mirrorless Adventures meetups, here in Michigan and other states as well. He's got the workshop with Derek Story coming up in San Francisco. So 2017, I think, is going to really get rolling and see a lot of fun stuff coming up. And like Mike mentioned, I've been rolling out more YouTube videos lately over on my channel. And if you're not a subscriber on my channel, I'll put the link below just in case, if you want to go subscribe and just check out some of the stuff I'm doing over there. So I plan on, again, producing more of those videos in 2017. But I just want to take a minute and roll the clock back and just talk a little bit about 2016. In the media right now, that all you hear is, it's the thing, it's the meme now. 2016 was hell. It was awful. There were a lot of tragic passings. As there are every year. Lots of people pass away, and there's this connection people feel to celebrities. movies have that effect on people. So having a lot of celebrities pass in 2016 has been kind of a downer, but I personally, 2016 was an awesome year for me. A lot of great times traveling around the country, doing photography, working on workshops, meeting new friends around the country. A lot of time spent with my family at our camper, every weekend camping. Great stuff with Olympus, this year, new products and just the camaraderie within our group. 2016 for me personally, great year. I don't focus on the bad stuff. So I guess I'm going to kind of go over 2016 as a screen share and just kind of go over some photos, and they're on another screen. So that's why I'm looking over here. So pay no attention to that. All right. So I'm going to start off right here with basically how my year started out. This was shot in February, and this was with a pre-production unit of the 300 millimeter f4 Pro. It was super exciting to get that lens that early in the game to be able to get out and shoot. And I went to one of my favorite places that's kind of over towards Mike's side of the state, Kensington Metro Park. I went there, in all honesty, not expecting to see bald eagles. I just went there expecting just to photograph birds, actually little birds, little chickadees and finches and things like that. And I was blown away when I saw a pair of eagles that were occupying a heron nest out on this island. So my first experience using the 300 millimeter with its image stabilization and hand holding shots. And this was with the teleconverter on, so we're talking like 420 millimeters, like ridiculously long handheld shots. So again, that was kind of the start of my year, February, new products, and it was super exciting to be able to get my hands on a product like that. And now it's, it's in my quiver of lenses, and it is an incredible birding lens. And now that it's, widely available, more people have gotten it. It's just the shots that I'm seeing everybody share online just blow my mind. I love that a lens like this is available to a pretty wide range of people. I mean, it's still an expensive lens, but it's not anything like some of the competitors' lenses would be for that caliber of a lens. The one workshop that I did attend that was a Mirrorless Adventures workshop here in Michigan was, I believe, at the end of February, maybe the beginning of March. We got a group together in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it was raining, and it was sleeting and snowing, and it was cold and miserable, but it was so fun just to get to hang out with a bunch of people who just love to shoot, and that's the beauty of doing these little meetups, is getting to hang out with such a wide variety of people. This gentleman here, his name's Oren, gotten to meet him several times. He's been to several of our events, went to a photo walk that I led just the other month here for a camera store in Lansing. A lot of fun. He was a fun guy to shoot with because he had no problem jumping in mud puddles and splashing to give everybody some cool shots. So it was really cool. And, that was kind of like the next event of the year. And I had a gap in between events, so that would have been probably March, and it didn't get until we were down into April. And or was it May? Boy, I'd have to look at exit data. That's bad. I'm getting old. I can't even remember months. Actually, I think it was May. I went to Arizona to co-lead a workshop with fellow trailblazer Alex McClure. Alex reached out to me and asked if I wanted to help him lead a astrophotography workshop in Flagstaff, Arizona. I thought, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah, totally. Sign me up. I'll definitely come do this. Fortunately for the attendees, we only had one night with clear skies. It snowed every single night, and it was cloudy every single night. And then during the day, the clouds would clear out and it would just become gorgeous. So we basically kind of changed what we were doing on that workshop and took off and ventured out around Sedona and over to the Grand Canyon, just to take advantage of the beautiful days, and did the best we could with the nights that we had. But so this is shot in the south rim of the Grand Canyon, and this is with the EM5 Mark II and the 7-14 at 7 millimeters. And the reason I'm sharing this photo is the Grand Canyon is huge, and I'm sure everybody's heard that before. And I still, like people tell you just can't be prepared for what it's going to be like, and I definitely wasn't. And you go into shooting a location like this and you think, oh, I want to shoot with the widest lens possible. And you realize that it's so darn big that going super wide isn't always the thing you want to do. Sometimes you want to zoom in on stuff. But I wanted to share this because it was shot at 7 millimeters, so it's ultra wide. But it changed the perspective enough to where those clouds look like they're really low over the rim of the canyon, over towards the dead center of the photo. They look really low. It's funny when I show people this image, they're a little confused, asking me if the clouds were, scraping the sidewall of the canyon coming up out of it or something because they look so low. But it just shows you how perspectives can be skewed by focal length and also by the size of your subject. The next shot was taken probably a day or two later. Maybe it's just the next day. This is in Sedona. In the background, there's Cathedral Rock. And we were there with our group, and everyone was photographing, and everyone was wrapping up and packing up to leave. And I just ventured off on my own just for a minute. I just wanted to get a different perspective than everybody else had been shooting. So I wandered around the corner from where everyone was at and stumbled across this. And I don't know what this is. It's weird, but it was super cool. It looked like some kind of hippie voodoo. I don't even know what it was. I was so enthralled with it. So I threw the 8mm fisheye on so that I could really exaggerate and make this thing like the dominant feature. Even though Cathedral Rock is gorgeous and it is the backdrop for this shot, I still wanted this whatever you call this thing to stand out in the foreground. And it's funny because I've shown this at several different talks, and one of the questions that seems to be reoccurring about this photo is not anything about compositional choices or equipment. Everybody wants to know, did you step inside the circle? And usually my response is I'll go straight face and I'll look and say, I'm still here. So obviously I didn't step in the circle. Everybody's like, is it a portal? What is it? It's so weird. But anyway, so the trip to Arizona was definitely fun. Got to meet some wonderful people, Frank Ruggles, Wayne Sheridan, just some phenomenal people. And we had a cool Olympus rep that came out. Eric, he kind of came out and brought equipment for everybody to use. It was a phenomenal time. So I'm just going to throw this out there. If you see Alex McClure talking about running a workshop and you're going to be on that side of the country or have the ability to attend, I say go. Alex knows some astoundingly beautiful locations to shoot. So don't hesitate to jump on a plane or train or automobile and go visit Alex for one of his workshops. Next up would have been in June. Yes, it was June. Or was it July? I think I've got my sequencing all out of order. I think Philadelphia was in July. I'm exhausted, by the way, so I apologize for my lack of being able to know what day is what. So this was shot in Philadelphia. Behind us, and you're looking at this lightning on the cityscape, but behind us was what we were really there for. It's this location called Boathouse Row, and there are all these really cool houses on a river whose name I am not going to try to say again because I'll mess it up like I do every single time. But it's a well-known location in Philadelphia, and if you just Google Boathouse Row, Philadelphia, you'll see why. It's a row of houses along the river, and they're all ringed with lights. All of the windows, the doors, the roof lines, all ringed with lights, and they reflect beautifully in the river. So our plan was to go there and shoot that. And that day when we were going to go, somebody tipped us off that the lights probably wouldn't be on. They were all being retrofitted with LED lights instead of incandescent. And sure enough, when we got there, there were no lights on. And that day had been kind of a rough day. It was super hot. And then it ended up like raining like torrentially and thunder and lightning. And we had to kind of cut out and head back to the hotel to take a little bit of downtime and a little bit of dry off time. And so upon returning here to Boathouse Row, we figured we'd give it a shot and see if the lights might be on anyways. And as we're walking up to this platform where we would view Boathouse Row, I saw a flash of light. And I turned, and I don't remember who I said it to. It might have been Robin, one of the workshop attendees. I said it to somebody. I want lightning over the cityscape. That's what I want. And sure enough, the next flash of lightning was right over the city. And it was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So everybody hurried up and set up their cameras in the opposite direction of the Boathouse Row to face downtown. And those of us who were Olympus users, which is everybody except for one gentleman, I felt so bad that he didn't have an Olympus camera to do this, but we showed everyone how to set up a live composite. So what you're actually looking at here is a live composite shot that was probably like a 10 or 12 minute long shot. So that's how many lightning bolts there were in about a 12-minute period. And everybody got a little bit different of a look. You know, some people ran their composite longer or shorter, so they had more or less of their lightning bolts. And yeah, it was super cool to say, man, you know what? I want lightning over the city, and boom, it produced. Another shot from that day that I wanted to share is this one here of the Rodin Museum. And this is an exercise in patience right here. So this was shot with the EM5 Mark II, and if I am not mistaken, I want to say it was the 17 millimeter f1.8. And I say an exercise in patience because, well, we're in the heart of Philadelphia. We're near the stairs where Rocky ran up the museum there, and you've got the Rodin Museum here, and it's part of this park. Very busy, very busy. What you can't really see in this shot is up in the shadows behind these columns, there are people, a lot of people. I just had to time it out so that there was nobody in front on the I don't want to say sidewalk, but the top of the stairs up here. There was no one up there. I waited till everybody got in there. And just off to the left, I remember specifically, a gentleman had walked up, turned around and walked back down to get his girlfriend or something. And when he was down there, I fired off this one shot. So I was lucky enough to get just a good shot, you know, without any people in it. Definitely kind of a cool thing to be able to shoot there. And on our last day, I think Mike and I were headed back to the airport, if I'm not mistaken. We stopped at the FDR skate park, which those who know me personally know that I skateboarded from the time I was 13 until I was in my 30s. So any chance I get to hit a skate park and just kind of check out what people are doing, I'm down for that. So FDR skate park is underneath the highway overpass, and it's a super cool spot, and just kind of hung out and shot these guys riding. And yeah, so this kid, Dalton, I shot him for a while, sent him some finished products, you know, some finished images, you know, to thank him for letting me shoot him there in the park. But it was a cool way to wrap up the day. Next up, Chicago. And if Mike and I are out of Chicago, you better believe that Mike and I are going to end up at the Chicago Theater at some point in time with a group of people to show them how live composite works. Every year that I've done this, well, 2 years in a row, I've been trying to get a different perspective on it. Last year I shot it from over on the sidewalk, and from the other side of the sign this year I got from this vantage point right here. So again, this was a great night. You know, one of the things about the Out of Chicago conference is you just got such a wide variety of people, and many of which we've actually kept in contact with afterwards. You know, they're a wonderful woman that was there from Canada. I've kind of kept in touch with her a little bit on and off as she's been trailing around. And another friend of hers who was there, you know, I've intermittently had conversations with them. And we ran into a young lady from Switzerland who was in Chicago shooting with an Olympus camera, even though she was not a part of the conference, but we made friends with her and have had intermittent contact with her as well. So the Chicago Theater is definitely one of those places near and dear to my heart. But while we were at the Out of Chicago conference, you know, Mike and I had arranged our classes and our talks and our photo walks so that we would have some downtime, because the previous year we were just nonstop go, go, go. And it was literally like we went, we worked, we slept, we went home. This year, when Mike and I went, we had almost an entire afternoon to ourselves. So that was an incredible experience. So Mike and I hopped an Uber over to the University of Chicago, excuse me, and visited some of the incredible architecture there. So this is Rockefeller Chapel. And it's funny because Mike and I arrived there on a day when all the parents were there with their kids to check out the school. So there were all these walks going on, and it was chaotic, but we timed out revisiting Rockefeller Chapel in such a way that we actually were able to get empty chapel shots, which was awesome. And another one of the chapels, Bond Chapel, was closed, and Mike and I had stopped at it twice on our way to leave the campus. We stopped one more time because we saw a girl walking up to the door, and she looked like she was going to go in. and she saw us with our cameras and asked if we'd like to go in and shoot. And we were like, yeah, we would. So we went in and set up and took, several bracketed shots. And she says, oh, it's so dark here. Let me turn on all the lights for you guys. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool. So that was definitely like a great highlight for me to be able to explore Chicago on our own, so I was blessed with being able to present there with an incredible class, which that was a great life experience for me. Teaching so many people in one class was great, and then leading photo walks, but then also getting that personal time. Mike and I got to just kind of go hang out and have fun and shoot together. I know it's a lot of photos. I apologize. So let me talk a little bit about the shots. So Rockefeller Chapel, huge, super wide. My first response or reaction is I just want to go as wide as I can without necessarily using a fisheye. But I actually think this was a fisheye anyways. I have shots with the 7-14 as well. And the same with Bond Chapel, although Bond Chapel was, I think, shot with the 7-14 and not the 8mm fisheye. Both cameras, I believe, were the EM5 Mark II, although, one of them might have been a Pen F, to be honest with you. So this shot right here, oh man, this was one of my highlight shots for the year. I think every year I have like one or two shots that just really resonate with me, and this was one of them. So this was a trip that I took north by myself. Generally, I'm such a family guy. I'm always with my family. If I'm not working, I'm with my family, and if I'm not with my family, it's because I'm completely out of like the town or the state. So my wife and I were talking, and I had mentioned wanting to go up and shoot this lighthouse, and she says, why don't you take off this weekend? And I said, well, I didn't think you guys were going to go up to the camper. And she says, why not just go ahead and why don't you just go on a solo mission? I thought, oh my gosh, she's turning me loose with camera gear and a whole weekend to myself. So that's what I did. I split north to Ludington on the west side of the state. And it just so happened that my friend Mark Miller was up in the area with his family. So I met Mark and his wife here at the lighthouse, which is actually like a 2-mile walk down a dirt road. There's no easy way to get to it. It's a long hike back. So got to hang out with Mark Miller and take this shot here. So this is a single raw file. I processed it the way that I like to process, which is not exactly straight out of camera, in case you can't tell by my work. And this is with the 7-14mm as well. I don't think I'm at 7mm though. I think I'm in some weird in between focal length, like 9mm. And this with the EM5 Mark II as well. Later on, at a different point in time in the summer, I went out boating with my family. My brother-in-law has a nice big boat, and we went out into Lake Michigan. We leave from our campground, which is right on the Grand River, and we just cruise down the river until it empties out into Lake Michigan and Grand Haven. And this is another one of my favorite shots, and it's just, I've just kind of called it Pier Folk because it just shows all the people that like to hang out on the pier. I've got this guy sitting out on the breakwater thing on the end of the pier there, and this gentleman here who's a little rotund like myself, walking down the pier, just highlighted with the sun, as it's getting a little bit later in the day. This with the EM1 and the 12-40 and shot from a moving boat, God bless the Olympus image stabilization. And this was processed with one of the Lightroom presets that I sell over on my website. I'm not trying to plug it, by the way. I'm just saying it's one of my presets. And on another trip to the west side of the state, I got to meet up with some friends. Let's see, who did I meet up with? Jerry James that night, and Walter Elliott. Jerry is now a recent Olympus convert. You're welcome for that, Jerry. I'm still trying to get Walter to convert, but we went out shooting. We honestly were going out just to do Milky Way shots, and we just noticed the beaming coming off the horizon and realized that the aurora was getting really active, So we were out in the middle of nowhere on the west side of the state in some very dark areas, and the town is Montague is where we were at. So we pulled over and just jumped out of the car and started firing away. And I was really pleased with this. This is with the Pen F. The Pen F is an incredible astrophotography camera. This next shot that same night, actually probably about 250, 300 feet from where the aurora shot was taken, we were headed back to that barn that is on the lower right-hand side. And I just kind of composed this shot with a fence post right under the Milky Way. And this again is with the Pen F also. Again, I can't express how much I love the Pen F and now the EM1 Mark II for astrophotography. They just seem to do such a splendid job with that. And for settings for this shot, this is going to be like an ISO 3200 shot for probably 15 seconds, I think, somewhere around there. And I think this was shot with the 8mm fisheye at 1.8. So nice bright lens. The next shot, I fell in love this summer with using the 300mm f4 Pro for shooting sunsets. And this isn't probably the best example of why, but if you shoot with a super telephoto or a telephoto and zoom in on the sun just becomes larger than life, kind of like you see people doing with the supermoon photos, take advantage of using a telephoto lens to accentuate the size of the moon or the sun. I probably should have shared a better shot. I feel bad for not doing that, but this was just one that I really liked. Of a couple walking to the end of the pier at sunset. The next shot, again, definitely one of my favorite shots of the Milky Way from this summer. And this was, you see that lighthouse and pier featured a lot in my work this year. And so again, this is in Grand Haven, Michigan here. And I'll be honest with you, I'm such an idiot. I don't remember if this is with the Pen F or the EM1 Mark II. You know what? This is the EM1 Mark II. I just wasn't allowed to say it was with the EM1 Mark II when I shot it because it was pre-production and I wasn't supposed to acknowledge that I had it. But this is with the 25mm f1.2 wide open at 1.2. And I shot it a little bit longer than I should have. And if I were to zoom in, you can see there's a little bit of trailing on the stars here. I think I ran this shot for probably like 12 or 13 seconds. I probably should have stuck to like 10. But I was just in a rush to finish up shooting out there that night and get back to the camper. But what stood out to me with this shot, and this is so bizarre, is you can see these red glowing beams of light coming off of the lighthouse, and there's a flashing light, obviously. But I don't understand how I'm getting those in the shot because I knew the timing of the flashing of the lights. So what I was doing is I was running my exposure, like the flashing happens like every 6 seconds or 7 seconds. And I did like a 12 or 13 second exposure. So I knew that they were going to flash in the middle of the exposure. So I put my hat in front of it. So I have no idea how there's still light in these shots, whatever. It was just a weird mystery shot to me. But again, one of my favorites from the year. And that kind of rounded out like my camping shots from the summer. And then kind of like the last big thing of the year was traveling to New York with Olympus for the launch party for the EM1 Mark II, and just getting to hang out with everybody else in the Olympus program. It's really a great group of people, so much talent in that group, and so much to look up to, with people like Larry Price and Jay Dickman and Ann Day. They're just so much talent, and then everybody else in the program is just phenomenal and everybody's so sweet. But getting to explore New York City, that's also a highlight for me. I live in small town America, so it's just a shot of the Empire State Building, just kind of nestled in between all of the other buildings. It's for someone that doesn't live in a giant city or visit big cities very often, it's one of those things where you're never really sure what to shoot or how to shoot it. So I started shooting just chunks of the city. It's almost pointless to just go super wide and try to take it all in. I mean, again, that's kind of like your first reaction, but I think I fell in love with just getting in tight and shooting like little chunks of the city. And again, processed with one of the presets that I have over on my website. And this is with the EM1 Mark II and the 12-40. And you can't go to New York City and be wandering around without visiting the Flatiron Building. It was definitely on my list of places to visit. And, again, I hang out whenever I'm doing the Olympus stuff and Mike's there. Mike and I hang out a lot. We're like, the two guys that are always together, bosom buddies. And so it was really cool. Mike made sure that I got over there to shoot the Flatiron. And I was totally stoked to be able to get this. I think this was a morning shot. And again, processed with a preset that I whipped up for Lightroom. The shot that I really liked, though, I wish Mike was on the show to share his, because his shot was just freaking astounding, mind-blowing shot. But again, you go to New York City, you got to visit the Flatiron without a doubt. And I guess the last photo, because man, I had 19 of them I've shared, which is crazy long, was the newest addition to our family. So everybody loves a puppy photo, right? So this is Luna, our little Shih Tzu puppy. We already have one Shih Tzu Koa, and you can't have enough Shih Tzu in the house, I guess, right? So we got a puppy in November, and she's our newest addition. This was shot with the EM1 Mark II, and I was using Pro Capture Low with continuous autofocus tracking on. And this is with the 75mm 1.8 because I want that shallow depth of field. And using Pro Capture makes life so much easier. You're never going to miss a shot. And if you're not sure about Pro Capture, make sure to ask Mike or Ryan. We can definitely explain to you what that's all about. So that was kind of like my year in review with photos. I know I had some of the dates mixed up, like I don't know what month is what. It's so ridiculous. I guess you hit 40s and it's like, your memory's just gone. So yeah, that was my year in review. And again, everybody says 2016 was awful, and there were definitely some down moments there, but I've been pretty blessed with 2016. No complaints here. And I'm going to close out the show talking about, I was telling you guys that I got some reviews and videos coming up pretty soon. One that's going to drop for the weekend is one I'm really excited to do, and that's about this right here. So this is, I'm going to plug them right now. So this is the Lens Baby Trio 28. 28 because it's 28mm, so on our cameras it's like a 56. Trio because you can see there are 1, 2, 3 optical elements there. So basically what it is, it's 3 of Lens Baby's most popular products: the Velvet, the Twist, and the Sweet. So those 3 optics all in one. If you want to switch between them, you just rotate this turret, and there you go. Manual focus, obviously. Very fun. It's not going to be, how do I explain this? I don't want it to sound bad in any way because it's not bad. It's not going to be like an optically pure image. How about that? It's definitely for the artist in you. It's going to make you be a little more creative when you shoot with it. I've got a Lens Baby composer up on the shelf back there that doesn't get as much use as like this would. The composer is really tricky to work with. You've got like a really narrow sweet spot to work with. And I think that scares a lot of people trying to just let go of the thought that everything has to be razor sharp, and just embrace like the dreaminess that you can get in a photo. This makes it easier to have like a really strong sweet spot that's definitely crisp and sharp, while your the periphery, the edges of your image really start to show those more artistic, dreamier effects to them. So again, stay tuned for that review of the Sweet 28 or the Sweet 28. The Trio 28 by Lens Baby. And I guess that's it. I just want to say thank you everybody so much for an awesome 2016. A couple of numbers here for 2016. Mirrorless Minutes, we're up to like 1,153 subscribers, and that's pretty good, for a couple of guys that don't really. It's not like this big high value production. I'm in like a spare bedroom here, with my wife's sewing machine behind the banners here, and you guys keep us motivated to keep doing this. We really appreciate it. I sincerely am grateful for the interaction we get with you guys. You're all awesome. Our view count is up to like 37,194. It's going up tonight. We're definitely going to be at 37,200 plus. So again, thank you guys so much for an awesome 2016 from Mirrorless Minutes. For me personally, definitely a great year. I'm at 3,400 subscribers. Super cool. I mean, I'm not 1 million subscribers. I don't ever foresee that happening, but it doesn't matter because the subscribers I've got are all like legitimate, good, interactive subscribers. So I'm really blessed with that. And my view count as of this evening was at 719,235. I'm almost going to hit 1 million there. That's freaky. So thank you guys again for all the views, and really especially for just being interactive. It's cool to see that, when I post a video, people are asking questions and commenting. And then if I don't have time to get back to it, other people who are viewers are helping to answer questions. I mean, you guys rock. Maybe it's just the Olympus community. I don't know. Is it the Mirrorless community? Is it just the people that follow us? I don't know. I just know that we're lucky to have you guys along for the ride. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for an awesome 2016. And we're looking for an incredible 2017 to start happening here in just a few days. You guys take care. Thanks again for tuning in. Safe travels, Mike, on the road. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. See ya.